How you doing, guys? I'm back with another video. I'm always picking up stuff that people throw away and trying to fix it. And somebody threw this light away. It was a cleanup day we had at our township. And somebody threw it away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it out and see if I can get it to work. And see if it does work to begin with. And we're going to see what we can do to get it fixed if it is messed up. I got a bulb here. I thought maybe I'd give it a try. A lot of times you pick this stuff up, you don't know whether it works or it does or don't work. So we got to give it a try and see what happens. Now it takes another fluorescent bulb around the outside edge, and I just put an LED light in there. Well, I guess maybe it does work. It seems like it might have a short inside there. It shouldn't do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to tear it apart and see if we can get it to work. I thought this would be nice on my workbench, especially if you're working on like a carburetor or something small and you need lots of light. I think this wand on this thing would make it nice to put it wherever you want it. So I'm going to see if I can get it tore apart and figure out what might be wrong with it. Now, I was kind of looking this thing over to see how it comes apart. I see some rivets in here, and this is kind of loose. And I've seen there's a couple screws on the top, so I'm going to, hopefully this is the way it comes apart. I don't know. It's not something I really ever worked on, so let's pull these two screws out and see if maybe that stuff will fall out of there. I don't know. Well, that's what that fell out. So, oh yeah, look at this. Where you have to see it. So we know we got a short somewhere in this thing. I just don't know where it's at. And I need to get this thing out of here. I'm looking down in there to see what I need to take apart. Looks like I might need to take this wire out of the inside. There's a little where the wire goes into it. Right here on the back side. See, I might have to take this out. If I get that plug out of there, that'll let that wire go down in there a little bit further. So let's give it a try and see if we can get it out of there. Now you can't hurt something that's already broke, so don't worry about breaking it. If it breaks, we'll just throw it in the garbage. We'll take this little clamp. There's that little clamp, got it off. Now that should let that wire feed down in there and give me a little more room to work on it. Let's do this. Looks like I can spin this thing around. Get all this stuff out of here. There we go. Now we can see what we're working on. I don't understand why that thing was on that. Oh. Well, we'll put the I think this is going to need some wires replaced in it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See, now if you look at this wire right here, there's a lot of green on it. Look how much, oh, and it's hard too. So what we might do is go ahead and cut these wires off of here and put some new wires on there. And then we'll give it a try. I think that wire, oh yeah, it's been hot. It's got really hot and it's real brittle. So we'll cut these wires off and put some new wires on there. Now I got one of the wires, and we'll only replace one wire at a time so we make sure we know where it goes. And you could look at this wire right here. Look how corroded and black that wire is. So that wire's gotten hot. But I was looking for what might be causing the flickering of the light. And if you watch this wire, you see where it goes in the bottom there? Look. See how it moves? Well, that's the piece right down in here. Let's see if I can get it. See that bottom circle right there in the center of the screen? You can't. It's actually moving, and you can see the dark color around it. So that wire has been shorting out. Right there. That one right there. You could see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a punch. I'm going to take a punch and I'll tighten that wire up on there. I'll try to clean that and tighten it up. I may even just try to get a new socket for that. So we'll see when I get into it. Now this is going to be a hard one to do because this is made out of porcelain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that punch to set right on top of that right there where it's loose. And I'll look down through the top and line it up the best that I can. And then I'm going to take this punch, set it down on the top of this one. It's going to be hard for me to do. And then just tap that down. We don't want to break the porcelain. We definitely don't want to break that porcelain. So we're going to tap on this side a little bit. It still looks okay. It don't look really corroded down in there. We don't want to beat the heck out of it. We just want to tighten it. Now look at that. That thing doesn't move at all now. So we shouldn't have any sparks flying or light flickering the next time we turn the light on. So we're going to get rid of all this old wire and we're going to solder us a couple new wires on there. Okay, the only thing I've done here is I took the old piece of wire out and I put a new piece. Now this wire here was off of an old lamp, so I figured it'd be about the same. And then they had these wire nutted on there. They were wire nutted on the lamp, so I'm going to wire nut them back on there. They have pretty small wire nuts. So what I'm going to do here on the very end of this is I'm going to make it a little stronger, is I'm going to take a little bit of solder and put on the tip of this wire. So when I put it in that wire nut, it will stay good. So we're just going to heat this up. I'm going to drop a little bit of solder on that. And that's good. So now we have like a solid piece of wire there. Now they had a protective cover on this wire. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that cover back on there just like they had it. And then we'll be able to wire nut that one back up in there. So we'll go ahead and take this one off. Get a pair of needle nose pliers here. What we'll do is we'll just heat this thing up because we're going to have to solder another piece of wire on here. So we'll heat this up and we'll take that wire out of that hole. Just got to hold it on there long enough to loosen that solder up. Now it comes out of the hole. Then we'll cut another piece of wire to put in that one. What's going to be tough is this wire here that we're replacing here is actually hooked to the switch. So I have to solder it on there. Well, I might be able to wire nut it too. But anyhow, we want to make sure we know which one goes where. This was the white one. All I have is black wire, so I could probably go ahead and stick it in there, and I'll cut a piece and solder it in this hole first. And then I'll try to get about the length that I need. This one might have went on this one, because I tried to cut that wire the same size and it didn't look quite the same size. So. There it is. That one sticks out the end there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and strip these two ends here, and we're going to put this piece down in there. Clean up the tip a little bit. So we'll just stick this down in this hole, lean it over to the side. Hopefully I could do this to where you can see it. And we'll hold this down on here and get it nice and hot. We'll get us some solder on here. Okay. So now we got two new wires on there. I'm going to keep this off of here because I want to make sure I know which one's the white one. I don't think that it really matters, but anyhow, that's good and tight on there. We shouldn't, actually I might tap on that one a little bit too with the punch. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and punch this one down a little bit. This one's real tight now. This one's just a little bit loose. It's not as bad as the other one was. We're going to get it punched down. Now comes the hard part. I gotta get these wire nuts down in here, which is very tight in here. So get this wired up. This is the one that came off of here, so we're gonna put her back on there. Hopefully we can get them down in there. Alright, we got that one. Now we just got to wire nut these two together. I'd probably better throw a little solder on them just to make sure they stay. I'm just going to solder them, that way when I put the wire nuts on them, they'll stay in one place. Hold it in there tighter. Just don't do the tips. Got a little clump on there, so I'm going to smooth it out. Okay. Now, give us another wire. I thought I had one here. I guess not. I'll get another one. And then we're going to wire nut these two together. Hopefully. I don't know if they'll go in there or not. I got a burr on that one, so I'm going to have to take that burr off right there. Okay, try again. Alright, well that's in there pretty good. So now we got to gather all this back up inside there. We got to suck all this wire back up in there. Maybe we should try it first just to make sure. We'll put our bulb in here. I don't know if I can get to the switch without getting shocked. Now our bulb has no flicker to it now. So we should be in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing put back together and then work on trying to get it put up. Okay, we got everything back up in there and it works good. Wiggle the light. No flickering. No shorting out in there. It's going to be real good. We're going to put this on the workbench, and this is going to give us a lot of extra light when we're doing small jobs or just when you need extra light. So we're going to get this thing, I'm going to see if I can get it mounted on my bench here now. The only problem is at the bottom of this thing, here's what it's got. It's got that thing right there. Well, they didn't throw the piece that it went into away, so we're going to have to make something that this will fit in and weld it to my bench. Okay, for the brace, I had cut a piece of just square stock. I'm going to be drilling a hole through the square stock the size of the big part of the light bracket. But first, I got to get this thing out of here. Throw me out. Throw me a drill bit in here. Big enough to go through that. So all I want to do is just drill a hole through this anywhere, just so we got a hole. Now we got our hole drilled in here, but it's not perfect. I couldn't get the perfect size drill bit, so I'm just gonna use my little Dremel tool. And then we'll keep trying it on here. We want it to fit all the way up on that big part. It's real close, so we're just gonna keep grinding it out until we get it to fit. Okay, that fits on there perfect and it'll spin. Now what I've done here is I drilled this nut out to fit on this side. Now what I gotta do is get this thing short enough. I'm gonna cut this down, and then we're gonna put this piece in the bottom, and then this will go on top, and we'll just weld it right to our bench. That should give us a good sturdy bracket. Okay, this is what we done with our square stock. We cut it in half. We got a hole drilled in it now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clamp this down in the... We're going to flip that over, that piece we cut off. And then I'm going to weld this piece on there. And then once I weld it on there, I'll reach inside, set this where I need it to go. I'll put the lamp in there, make sure I got it straight, and then we'll weld that nut into place. And that's what you'll have. So I'm going to work on welding this piece on the top first. What I was doing there is trying to fill in that gap. I got it cut a little crooked. So now I got it straightened up. I can go ahead and weld the rest of this on. I think this is going to work out pretty good. I better cool it off. Alright, I went ahead and put the light down in there like so, and I stuck that bolt that that nut that I drilled out down in here, and I tacked it. So this thing is setting straight up and down. So we're going to go ahead and finish welding the nut in there, and then we're going to get this thing welded to the bench. Now what I've done is I put my bracket down here and I just tacked it on to see if it's going to work. Now most of the time I'm working in this vise and I need light on this vise. So this I think is going to work good for my vise. I turned it all the way in so it doesn't hit it. I can turn it around. I can turn it all the way around. If I want to work on the other table, it doesn't hit anything over there. Then I can take it, and I can actually take it down really far on this table or on this table over here. So I got good light right there in that spot. So that's where I'm going to mount it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish welding it in there. Nice thing about putting this on the bench like this, if I decide later I don't want it, it's not going to be a problem. All I have to do is grind it off. Cut it off of there and grind it off, and we're back to metal again. So I'm going to cool that off a little bit. Take a little water, just cool it off a little bit. Then I'm going to take some grease. I'm going to put a little dab of grease down in the bottom of this. Down in the bottom there, and then I'm going to put some on the top. Just around where it's going to turn. And we're going to put our light back in there. Get it down in the hole. There it is. Now we should have a pretty good little light set up. Okay, I put a bulb in there. Now we got light. And if we need it down on this, somewhere in here we can work. It's got nice light. If I decide that I need it over here somewhere, I could put it down here and work on this vise even. Or I can come over to this table if I want to work on that table. Now inside this, we have an LED bulb in there. And there's a ring around here for another bulb. I'm going to go into Lowe's or Home Depot and see if I can find this bulb that goes on the inside. Because I'm going to see if they got them in LED. If they do, that's what I want. So I think this is a good for, well, for me, because actually it's getting harder to see the older I get. So I thought this light would work out nice on my bench. So, and it does help. I think it's going to help out a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's just a little project I've been doing in the, wanted to do in the garage and get it set up. This thing was going in the garbage. It's another something I found out of the garbage, just like the little drill press I did. And now it works fine, and I think I'll get many years of use out of it. And if it ever breaks or something happens to it, I'll just grind it off the table and pitch it anyhow. Now, this got really hot inside there before, but I'm using the LED lights and they don't get quite as hot as the old bulb. So this should work out really well and work for a long time. I'd like to tell everybody thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment if you'd like. Until next time.